Alright guys, day 2 of E3 is over. We're regrouped. We're going to discuss our thoughts, the things we saw today, the things we maybe wanted to see. Actually, we won't discuss that. It's boring.
Maybe things we didn't want to see.
Oh, there you go.
There might be a couple of those.
Alright, so let's start off with you, Derek. What did you see that you liked?
Well, I actually got the chance. It's not Nintendo. Gasp! I got to try out Dragon Quest Heroes towards the very end of today's show, and I love it. Wow, it's such a going from Hyrule Warriors and playing so much of that, and then going to Dragon Quest Heroes and sort of it's the same sort of vibe, but they've done it so differently where you have a team of 4 and you can swap between them at any point, and it's sort of like you have an RPG party just beating the crap out of all these monsters. It is a gorgeous game.
So is Love It WoW a new review thing on our scale?
Yes.
Wow, man, I gotta draw that.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, it's got 2 hands, and they are sort of going out with sparkles and giant shiny eyes.
There you go. Perfect. No, it really was just a fun time. It's I feel it is a nice expansion on Hyrule Warriors and how it really embraced the idea of a Zelda Dynasty Warriors game, and I get the same feeling for Dragon Quest. And I know Dragon Quest is still a bit of a niche title in America, but I hope it isn't, because it really was that fun. I just had a really great time, and I think you got to try it as well.
Yeah, I was there recording when you were playing it, and then I got to try it myself toward the end of the show, and I'm right there with you. And bear in mind, I have no pre-existing love for Dragon Quest. I haven't really even played a Dragon Quest game except like Little of 8, and I loved it. I mean, it's like you're almost like you're playing a cartoon. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's got this great cel-shaded look. The combat's really fun. The characters look great. Even the little slimes look really good. Like, it's an incredibly polished game. And even as someone who doesn't play Dragon Quest games, I kind of want to get this when it comes out. It's October, I believe. And wow, I was really impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. What about you, Tom? What did you enjoy?
Today, let's see. I finally got to play Star Fox. I thought it was really good. It took me a while to figure out the right stick was used to sort of tilt sideways. I was wondering, because normally it was a bit different than the N64 controls before, but it's really easy to use. The only thing that concerns me is how easy it is to have when you charge up your lasers for a shot, how far they'll arc while homing to a guy. They almost turned about 40 degrees at times, like a huge amount of spin was on it or something. But
so it seemed like it was stronger or more, it homed in more than on 64? Even?
Yeah, like I could turn away basically from a guy climbing up a tower and it would still go to him. It was a bit too easy in that regard, but overall, really impressed by it. And I know some people might be doubting the graphics and stuff, but you don't really notice it while you're playing it, and most of the graphics are good overall, I'd say.
I'm actually I think I mentioned it before, like, I actually think it's a really good-looking game. I don't quite understand the complaints, but I have heard people mention that watching our gameplay videos, they said it looks better from our gameplay than it did in the Direct. I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but I'm wondering, did they use a different build in the digital version, or digital event, rather, or...
I guess that's possible. I'd have to go back and watch the digital event again, although you really would have to pay me. I don't really want to go watch that digital event again. But and the one thing I did notice about the graphics, I agree, it's generally a good-looking game, but I did notice that some of the land textures, like environment textures up close, are really pretty ugly. And it's really noticeable when you do see it. It's like, oh wow, these ground textures are really pretty nasty. But other than that, though, I do think it's a good-looking game, and it's still not finished.
It needs polish. That's all it is. The basis is there. Once they polish it up and get it good-looking, it'll be fine.
You're right, there are bases in the game.
Yes, there are. Let you blow up.
What is your basis on that theory?
Something I did notice, I meant to bring this up yesterday about Star Fox Zero, is that, when you were playing, Andre, and you had to land inside the boss, and then you go and blow up the core, The person I saw who was, I recorded with someone else earlier, they didn't do that. So there are actually 2 ways to beat that
Yeah,
I
boss.
saw that today for the first
rocket
time.
Okay,
will
so
go
you-
off.
Yeah. So there's like the proper way and then the bad way to beat a boss, I guess. I don't know if that's true for every boss, but you can just shoot off all of his parts from the outside, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I'll get you next time," but he won't actually blow up.
I
He'll
really
hold
love
See,
that.
that's what I saw the first time when I
Yeah.
said you didn't have to look in the inside, and you
Yeah.
guys insisted. I'm like, going inside? No, he just shot the outside the entire time. So, okay, there is... Wow, I feel so much better now. Like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think even then, though, you still have to... I don't even remember. The camera still shifts, I think, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought that was really cool, though. Yeah, like, it adds a little bit more of a dynamic feel to the game, which is something Star Fox 64 did as well to some degree. But I don't know if it did it to that extent. Like, actually having different... It's been so long since I played that game.
Well, and I do wonder if it'll affect future missions as
That'd
well.
be cool,
maybe,
right?
Maybe he'll
That's-
come back and fight you again instead of another boss in a future mission or something.
I mean, that's
think
exactly what they did back then, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll just be a route change based off what happens there.
Right.
That's true. I finally got to try for myself that Metroid Prime soccer game, whatever it's called.
Blast ball.
Blast-
I keep trying to say ball blast, which is a lot funnier, but it's blast ball.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Like, it's not actively terrible. Like, it's enjoyable, but also feels like the kind of game that I would play for like 3 rounds and never touch again. Like, I don't know. It feels like kind of
Right.
like a $3.99 eShop title, and
Yeah.
that's it. You
That,
know?
that should be a new review score. It's not actively terrible. Because that really means so many things. That's like the most underhanded compliment ever. It's like, well, it's not horrible.
Yeah, so that's all I have to say about it.
right.
There was actually one really cool moment where at the start of the game, you can like, if you time it right, you can fire a charge shot like right at the ball the moment the action turns live. And Tom fired a shot the moment the match started, and he was in the center, so literally just fired the ball right into the opponent's goal.
Nice.
And we won the game with that shot. It was pretty
Charge
great.
shots are too
Yeah.
powerful in that.
They
it
are,
seems.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just charge shot the whole time, basically.
Same here,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did too.
I haven't played it yet.
Anyone try... Oh, sorry, what?
Shame.
Game of Thrones reference right there.
Yeah.
No spoilers. No, I wasn't spoiling people. Don't dislike this video.
Oh, real quick, I don't know if I mentioned it before, I might have. The Miiverse stage spoiled the Game of Thrones for me.
Yeah, so we were playing Smash on the Miiverse stage.
No,
and I-
Ash, don't spoil it for the rest of the
I will
people.
not say anything. I was just reading random Miiverse posts because, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was like, oh, who's this guy? And I didn't realize it was a Game of Thrones spoiler, and you guys all watch it, and I felt terrible.
huge
Like,
spoiler,
he
too.
says it out loud, and I've read the books,
Yeah,
and
I felt so bad.
I'd seen people everywhere talking about it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And
I've
I
gone the
tried to
whole
have
day,
no
too.
reaction
Yep.
because Andre has threatened bodily harm on me if I've spoiled anything because I know about the books.
Yeah, Derek might be like Reek now, for all we know.
Yeah, and I mean, situationally, it's interesting just because I hadn't really considered that use for the Miiverse stage before, but people
Right.
you know are going to
Just
do
totally
that.
troll it, yeah.
People
yeah.
are going to do that.
We probably just gave him the idea for even more people to do that.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that it's not that there's not some like there may not be any kind of oversight over it. So
I mean, there probably is, but only for like phallic things.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah.
probably it.
You know what's going to happen now? People are going to rename their Miis in Mario Kart and Smash after spoilers for Andre during live streams.
Nice.
oh god, that's the
terrible
worst.
idea.
That'd be really really sad.
That'd be really mean.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man. All right. Anyone else see anything else today?
Yeah, I played a few things. I finally got to really sit down with Mighty Number 9, and I played it quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I played 3 whole stages, I think. And you know what? I know it's been getting a lot of negative press lately, but it's actually really polished and really good. I was happy with it as a Mega Man fan. It's actually interesting. It's less Mega Man and actually more Azure Striker Gunvolt, in a sense, because Beck's regular shots don't really do a lot of damage, but they tag enemies. And then you're supposed to dash through them and absorb them. But that's really the way that you beat most enemies. You don't just shoot them. You have to dash through them by tagging them first. And so it kind of lent to kind of an Azure Striker Gunvolt vibe to me. But the game looks nice. You know, I know it doesn't look the same as it did in those concept screenshots from the beginning of the Kickstarter, but it still looks good. The voice acting is it's great. I mean, it's anime. It's very anime heavy-handed, but it's fine. Like it's not, the delivery is solid. The music's good. I mean, it's a high-quality production. I'm looking forward to it. It's hard. I was actually, even as a hardcore Mega Man fan, I was kind of surprised by how tough it is from the get-go. It's not an easy game, but that's good. And you played it too.
Yeah, I got to try it as well. It kind of shocked me with how much challenge there was actually there because I was
Yeah.
feeling pretty good because I've beaten the most Mega Man games, with the original classic games at least, and I feel pretty good. And it did take me a little while because I keep the problem I kept having was I kept underestimating how many shots it took, so I kept dashing into him, like trying to be prepared for that. And but the dash is just really useful, really powerful. It gives it a very different vibe from Mega Man. The graphical style, I mean, when I first looked at it, playing it, I was like, it's okay. Everything just seems plaster on, especially faces.
Yeah, it does.
On the models. So it really didn't look that great, but it's whatever.
It's not an ugly game, but it's not especially gorgeous. But
exactly.
it looks technically good.
It's fine. Exactly. It does. It conveys it well enough. And
are you saying it's not actively terrible looking?
It's not actively terrible looking, yeah. And I have to say, I really like the punchiness that Beck's dash has. And it's not like Mega Man where you only have one air dash. That is his main attack, essentially. So he can air dash over and over again until essentially you hit the ground. So that this is going to be a speedrunner's game, dream come true. I can see this game being incredible for speedrunning.
Yeah.
If you're doing it, can I call it an air ash?
Yes, you have my permission, definitely.
Well, we've also I did the ice level, and there was multiple paths because you were falling down through the spike section, like classic Mega Man.
Yeah.
And there was a section to the right that you could have dashed toward, but I wasn't ready for it, so I was continuing on, feeling pretty good. Right at the very end, hit the spikes, I'm like, ugh!
Yeah.
And, it was, it has that classic challenge to it, and one thing I did like, about there's anime style presentation is the fact that they actually convey the story as you're going through the level. You get people taunting you, you get people updates. I like that they're integrating the story more into it. It's not just, beginning of the stage, end of the stage.
But critically, it's not like Mega Man X5 or X6 where you're interrupted by a navigator every 5 seconds. You have to stop. It doesn't interrupt gameplay, but you have people talking to you while you're playing, which is cool.
Yeah.
And actually on that note, I got to play a little more Mega Man Legacy Collection and explore some of the museum stuff and the challenges, which I thought were fun. But you were saying to me that you thought it really looked great, like in terms of the visuals.
When seeing it in person and seeing it like that, man, they pop.
It really looks great.
It really is a difference. And you went through the settings and showed what it looked like on TV.
There's like a CRT TV mode and like
and you'll see it. It's like, oh god, it's so ugly. I can't take it. Go back to the HD.
But it's really authentic, which is pretty impressive. But no, these games really haven't looked better ever.
Yeah, I think it's really turning out to be a excellent collection for Mega Man. I think it's well worth doing and well worth picking up, especially for the cost. And I really hope it sells well because it's fun.
Yeah, and I like the challenges too. I mean, they kind of remix some of the best bits and most challenging bits from all 6 games. So you have like a Mega Man 1 through 6 Mega Mix type thing, or a boss rush for one of the games. And I don't know, it's fun. It kind of mixes up the gameplay a bit. It's cool. Yeah, I think I like what they're doing with it. Good.
Oh, do you have more to say?
Yeah, I played it. I did go to I went to a behind closed doors screening of Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, which was really impressive. I don't know, how many people in our audience are looking forward to it, but I loved Human Revolution. That was probably my favorite game of 2011. And I don't even like shooters, which is saying a lot. But Mankind Divided, I mean, it's the same kind of game. It's if you've played Human Revolution, you know what you're getting into. But the environments are just bigger. There's more to do. There's a lot of verticality. Like these environments are like massively tall, so like you can look over an edge and it's like you kind of get vertigo because they're just so much bigger than before. And the stuff that Adam Jensen can do with his augmentations is cool. I didn't get to play, but they were demonstrating it for us, and it's just looking beautiful. If you like Human Revolution, there's a lot to look forward to with Mankind Divided for sure.
All right.
I just want to throw in quickly, since the guy I got an indie game I got to play for just to help out the small little guy. I got to play Oh Dear today briefly while waiting, and it's basically kind of like the Rad Racer style, but with Genesis graphics with 3-lane car racing, and you run over as much deer as possible. So it's on Yeah, basically it's on PlayStation Mobile for 49 cents, but that's closing down in 1 month, so hopefully they're looking to raise some revenue so they can bring it to Vita or PlayStation 4. But basically the neat catch is that depending on if you don't run over deer, the music turns happy. If you run over deer, everything kind of turns evil. So I thought I'd give a quick shout out to those guys.
I feel like I want to try this. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Basically, like imagine Rad Racer, but looking better and with these huge lines of deer that you can run over while power drifting.
So is it like a cartoony type thing, or is it gory? Like, is it?
It's not too gory.
Okay.
It's like, but the deer are like pixel art, so they're semi-realistic
Okay.
pixel art without the black outlines.
I gotcha. Oh, wow. Okay.
It sounds like a slightly more friendly version of like the arcade version of Cruising USA. We can just run
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, right.
Like the kangaroos in Australia, because why not? Yeah.
You're just like driving through elephants somehow.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
All those games.
Well, speaking of indie games, I think the highlight for me today was seeing and interviewing Yooka-Laylee, the developers of Yooka-Laylee, specifically Andy and Grant Kirkhope, which was just really cool. Like, their enthusiasm for that project is fantastic, especially Grant. Like, that guy is super excited for it. Like, they're just both super nice, and
That's cool.
They're just really. It seems like they're really invigorated by the success of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So we'll have a whole interview with them coming up pretty soon. We'll have to edit it together. But we learned some interesting details. Got a little more insight into the development of the game, and seeing it in action. Like I love seeing what they're doing with it. Like we got to see a really good look at. Like the rolling move they're using in the game, and how them developing that move impacted like future decisions with the game. It sounds like they're just so fun to use. Apparently, where we saw them just like rolling across a bridge and just bowling over tons of enemies,
Nice,
flying everywhere.
And the whole camera angle, like, was it a glitch in the camera? I couldn't quite hear enough because I was a little bit far away. But something with the camera going straight down, they realized this is kind of fun. Maybe we should. Use this for something else. I mean, don't want to spoil too much of the interview.
Interview spoilers.
Yeah, well, basically, is that to spoil it completely? Is that the camera could go as far back as possible, or you could keep going up with it to a top-down view.
And
I ruined it.
My hint at like a racing segment in the game. You'll get more details
okay.
in our interview. But.
Yeah, but it was a really cool insight to see how they just viewed gaming and how they want to expand it, and just sort of like, because just some really great details I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to spoil the interview or like completely negate the reason to watch
There's
it.
more to it than just that. We're good. So there's like 45 minutes of questions.
That's true, but no, there's stuff. The one I did ask him a question off camera. They actually gave me a pretty legit answer to, about, like, I was talking since Andy's the writer. I was like, so do you guys feel the need to explain why you're on floating islands in this? And he was like, well, you have to. And he basically gave me this really good answer about. You have to really look at whether or not it's worth explaining. Do you want to just let up to people's imaginations, or if I explain this, will it really add to the game and the flavor and everything else about it? And I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. They just really know what they're talking about.
Do you ever question why the question block's slower than Mario?
Yeah, see, I would posit mean that there's some games where you just don't need to explain because they're video games. That's the explanation. You know,
legit,
So, especially for a game like Yooka-Laylee, I mean, did anyone think to ask why Banjo's wearing a yellow backpack with a talking Regal in it? I mean, no, you don't need to ask those questions. It's just cool.
It's kind of funny, like when we were asking for questions from the audience originally to ask for our first interview with Yooka-Laylee developers. Someone asked, like, what's the relationship between Yuka and Laylee, and then it got me thinking about Banjo-Kazooie and how I never once questioned like what they even were. Like, are they friends or more than that? Like, it never even occurred to me.
I know where you can find your answer.
No.
Rule 34. This is where you can find your answer.
Google Images, I'm sure, will have an answer for me.
Now, here's my question about that interview. Did you find out what the deal was with BanjoGate at the Microsoft conference?
In hindsight, I meant to ask. I know, right?
I thought about it, but I'm like, they're so nice. I don't want to do anything.
Well, no, I was just more curious. Like, what? I was more curious to ask, like, how happy were you that they didn't announce a new Banjo-Kazooie? Right.
Yeah.
That's no. I mean, like, now they have the whole 3D platform landscape to themselves, basically.
They really do.
I mean, that, and I think
had a time. Had time in it. Yeah, both look great. It really was. You could really sense the passion for it.
The only other game I really played today, I didn't play too much today, was more Mario Maker. Tried out a few more levels. Yeah. Pre-built levels, which, like, we saw some things today, which we'll be posting gameplay of. They're just crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
you almost have an epileptic seizure from the end of some of those levels.
It was really interesting. Like, I still haven't played it at all yet, but just watching Tom build his level and all the crazy things he could do with it and just expand upon him, like, I want to get in there and, like, really take some time and make my own level and see what I can come up with, because they're just so creative, and I don't know. I really like what it's showing.
Well, it's awesome too how quick you can build a level. Like, I've done some other things in different programs, and it takes forever. Let's be honest. To make a really good one, but how quick to get something there. And once you learn the little quirks, like dragging Mario into a pipe to create sort of an off-screen area, like another secret room, or dragging a mushroom onto a thwomp to make him huge, little things like that. Or you hold the stylus on a Koopa and shake it a bit and you'll turn to a red Koopa.
That's cool.
Those little things, they tried to keep as few interface elements as possible, but we're going to be in for some really good GameXplain challenges later on, I think.
They even, like, a lot of people in the comment section for our direct feed footage for that mentioned how, like, they'll actually say the name of what you're using in, like, this sort of, like, GLaDOS type voice.
I was going to post a video about that.
Yeah, and it actually does, match sort of the tune. It's just little things like that really show it's not just a quick, like, throw it out there here, make some levels and go nuts.
Well, what I kind of like about it is it seems like it could just be because we're new to it, but it seems like it's hard. You can't exactly predict how the level is going to play until you actually play it after putting it together. Like, there was one point where you had a whole bunch of thwomps above some bricks, and you had like a warp pipe nearby.
Yeah.
And your impression was when I reached them, I'll have the ground to run underneath them.
Yeah.
When you got there, it's like, oh, they've already been triggered. So the ground's actually missing it has holes in it, but they've already dropped through the block. So
there are some really just ingenious levels.
Yeah.
I mean, the simplicity of the Mario formula in general really lends itself to some just really smart level design, and I love how Super Mario Maker really empowers you. Even if you're not a game designer, I mean, you can make some really cool stuff in it, and it's a really powerful but seemingly easy to use creation tool, and I'm genuinely excited for it.
yeah.
They're great little touches too. I love the little X's that pop up when you die to show where everybody else died. I really appreciate that. It's like, okay, this is where everybody's having trouble with it. It's just, I don't know, it's really cool. And you can even see the completion rate for each level and out of how many attempts. That's really cool. I love that sort of thing.
Well, anyone else see anything else today that you want to talk about, or?
I'll just say that the most important thing about Super Mario Maker is that the Undo Dog is back.
Oh, so good,
The
right?
Undo Dog is the most important Nintendo character of all time. I demand an Undo Dog amiibo, Nintendo.
That would be so good.
Yeah.
And not just that, like, I mean, there's so many Mario Paint references. Like, when you set up the auto-scroll for the level if you want, they match the mouse speed options in Mario Paint.
Oh, nice.
So you got the turtle, the rabbit, and the cheetah. It's great.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much all I saw. We were really busy just after getting all the direct feed footage. It was just back to the media room trying to get it all uploaded. So I didn't get to see too much, but what I saw, I did enjoy.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll say another quick tidbit, because maybe we won't be able to talk about it later, is we saw a few eShop games from Natsume today.
Oh, yes, that.
We saw Gotcha Racing, which is a neat game where you get car parts sort of from a capsule machine, and you can race and upgrade them. It's basically a top-down sort of slot card type look to it, but it looks like there are a lot of these options. And Natsume was saying they really designed these for quick 2 to 5 minute play sessions. So you can appreciate that sort of popcorn gaming, and also was it Brave Tank Hero, which you played, Derek?
Yeah, I played that. That was actually a lot of fun. It was a very interesting visual style because it scrolled like Animal Crossing on Wii, and it sort of fit, and you kind of got into it. And they're all really short missions. Like the rep we were talking to, she told us that their idea that they got a lot of fan feedback where they wanted games that were quick and they can play on train rides and not pay too much attention to, not spend too much time on, but they don't want to do mobile games. So that's what these games are in mind, and they really fit that. I mean, you won't get anything, they're not in depth or they're not like blow your mind or anything, but they're simple fun, and I can appreciate that sort of thing for that type of gamer.
Yeah.
Real quick, Derek, was today your first time playing Mario Tennis?
Yes.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, right.
I forgot about that. Well, that's the funny thing, is that's the first time I've played Mario Tennis
Ever.
at all.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, it was really simple to get a hang of. Sometimes I feel like I wasn't fully like in control of what I was actually doing. It was sort of just like mash the buttons, get it back. But no, playing with you guys in doubles, that was so much fun. You really feel the competitive element. And actually, I saw so many people like beforehand complaining about the Mega Mushrooms, about how it takes you out of the action, but they're almost strategic in a way, because if you get one at the right time, it can throw off the other team's like ability to hit it back.
Is that a good thing, though? Is that a legitimate way to throw? I mean, it seems like a frustrating way to have your game thrown off.
Maybe, but it depends if that's intentional or not. But I enjoyed it because it got us points.
I mean, I feel like it's almost tantamount to like intentionally pausing during Smash Brothers or something to throw someone off.
Yeah, I did find it to be a little bit disruptive.
Yeah, I did too, to
Yeah.
be honest.
I'd say the hardest thing is following what is a replay and what is not, because they both kind of look the same. And after a match, how quickly the next match starts.
Yeah.
Like, this is the
Yeah.
replay. No, it's the game. Oh, we're down 15-0 already.
Like, shouldn't it really be like where it pauses only that player temporarily, so they have to think about when to grab the mushroom or not?
Yeah, I could
Right,
see
so,
yeah,
like,
but
they
it
grow
doesn't. But as it is, it's like a cutscene, like a mini cutscene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I agree with you. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, shouldn't it be like almost a penalty for grabbing this power up?
Yeah,
they have to
it's-
think about when to grab it as that player, because it freezes only them while they grow in size, while the game continues around them.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's kind of what they do. Like again in Smash, like when you get an assist trophy,
Right.
you have to be.
Oh, that's
if you're
true,
playing someone who
exactly.
knows what they're doing, you have to be careful when you pick it up.
Yeah.
because it's basically free shots. You know, because they have
Right.
to do the animation for. So it's a risk reward thing. So I agree. I think that
Yeah.
would be a better approach for it.
I think it's at its core is I had simple fun, especially
Right.
multiplayer. I don't know how I'd feel about single player, which is probably why I haven't played many Mario Tennis games. But
There's single player?
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. It's like I have a hard time finding friends that was like, "Hey, let's play this Mario game." Nope. All right.
So just real quick, I guess, do you guys feel now that we've had even more time for it to set in? Do you feel any differently about Nintendo's presentation yesterday? No.
No,
No.
no, patently disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really, but I mean, it's the games I like. I like. I mean, the games that stood out to me, I like. You know, I did like playing them, but the games that didn't stand out, no mind change there.
And thinking back on it, like, it almost feels like that would have been like if it had been a direct at a different time of year, I think it would have been better received than it was.
Yeah, because not
E3.
every direct is great,
Yeah.
and that's okay. But for the E3 one,
E3, yep.
I mean, I like to, because usually we're all furiously live tweeting directs and digital events and things like that. We don't actually really get to watch and enjoy them.
Right.
So I try to go back and watch each one again and just watch it as a fan.
You don't
I
want
tried.
to?
Well, I tried to do that last night, and I started, and I was going to watch it with my fiance because she enjoys them too, and all the ridiculous puppet stuff, and she fell asleep immediately, and I was just kind of like, and this is someone who really enjoys these things, you
Yeah.
know, and I was watching, I'm like, wow, this is actually hard to sit here and watch. I'm bored. Like I'm kind of overwatching Miyamoto talk about the temples that he visited in his childhood, and like it just really was it wasn't a good presentation. It just really game content aside, it just wasn't paced well.
Yeah, that
It was
is
just-
a problem with it.
Yeah, it just was not. I don't know. It just was not. It was an off year, I guess.
Well, here's a way to put it, I guess. Sony's conference really captured your imagination of what these games could be like. While Nintendo's, I found, is sort of like they didn't really, because it's sort of like, here it is, and like, whatever.
Yeah, that's sort of the two sides of the same coin, really.
Yeah.
Because you have Sony with their promising it could be anything, you can do any of this, but you don't know, and it's so far out.
Don't know the final product.
Exactly. Are they really going to stick to what you saw at the conference? On the other hand, you have Nintendo, which might not be as impressive, but at least all these games are coming within the next six months or so.
Right.
So it's hard to say.
The whole thing is, it's just so weird how they had those huge announcements before, well, and leaks, I should say.
Yeah.
But also announcements with Ryu. But I was looking at our traffic, right? And I think the day Ryu leaked was our top. I think that might be a record in terms of traffic we've ever had. And had they announced that during E3, right? I think we'd be having a much very different discussion.
Yeah, although, I mean, what would we, though? I mean, let's just say there was no league, and they did announce Ryu and Roy at E3, and it was a shock to everyone. But that's still it. I mean, that's that and Earthbound Beginnings. Let's say that it was all on one day. Do you think people would look back and say, okay, Smash was cool, Earthbound was great, but after that...
There absolutely would still be that, but I
Yeah.
think it would be tempered more. I think, with proper pacing, they could have spaced out better. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to judge, right? There would definitely still be complaints. I mean, that wouldn't mitigate the Metroid Prime complaints at all.
Yeah,
No.
and also the whole developer story thing. I mean, I love watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's great, but that wasn't the right place for it. Like, upload those separately on Nintendo's YouTube account. They should have those things for people who want to watch them. I certainly would go watch them, but don't use your precious E3 announcement time to show us the developer on Yoshi's Woolly World talking about how much fun it was to create Yarn Yoshi amiibo. Like, that's cool, and I want to see what she has to say, but not in that format.
Yeah, they just have to be a little bit more picky or choosy with which ones they run, I think. Because I felt kind of the same way. Because we had a developer story last year, too, for that game.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like that game is... I feel like it's almost already... it's almost out in Europe, practically. We've seen tons of coverage for it. That's not a game you need to be highlighting during E3, I feel like.
I mean, but even Star Fox, like the Miyamoto's explaining Star Fox went on way too long. Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it was too long a segment, and I don't know. They had an off year. I think they'll be fine next year. It's just it was one of those things.
Well, apparently, I mean, it might be a better year because Retro came out and said today that if they were making a Metroid game, it would be on X probably,
Right?
And wouldn't be ready for a few years.
So
I think,
we did say that. They did say that, which is exciting.
Did they add a wink, wink, nudge, nudge?
Well, and they specifically said too that they wanted to explore, like they recalled the Metroid Prime 3 ending where Silex is chasing Samus, and they're like, we want to explore that. There's something going on between them, and that's something we actively want to do. So it does actually seem we could have a Metroid Prime 4 in our future.
Could be a launch title, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be good.
The last thing I want to say, just a quick, this isn't a game impression, but while we were playing Mega Man Legacy Collection, Keiji Inafune, the creator of Mega Man, came by, or one of the creators of Mega Man came by and was just checking out the stuff, and we turned around like, oh my god, this is Inafune. So Derek and I both got a picture with him, and that was a really cool E3 moment of day 2.
That's
for us.
awesome.
Yeah.
It was funny just to see him there too.
You
Yeah.
should put that picture in the discussion. And now because I said it, you have to.
Yeah, no, I was planning to do it already.
Nice.
You think I'm dumb? Got to show that off.
If Mighty Number 9 doesn't come out, it's because Inafune is in Ash's trunk.
What's funny is we saw him again later as we were. Ash was trying out Dragon Quest Heroes. He was coming by and checking out the Mighty Number 9 booth.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
No, it was just really good. And obviously, I don't think he spoke the language that fluently.
No.
But as soon as we said looking forward to Mighty Number 9, he was like, "Oh yes, yes, yes."
Yeah,
and it was all
and he seemed appreciative that people were still excited about Mega Man.
Yeah.
So I don't think for him it doesn't seem like a competition thing. It's like, oh, this is my old character. People still love him. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are looking for my new game, and that's great too. So that was nice to see.
Yeah. Overall, I'd say it was a pretty decent day 2.
Yeah, we cover. I mean, yeah, we got to see. I think a lot of us got to see things we wanted to see on day 1.
Yeah.
Just didn't have time to. So
Yeah. So.
All right, well, I think that wraps up for us here. So thanks for watching, guys. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find a link to in the description below. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain for tons more from E3 still, including multiple developer interviews, which we haven't yet posted, and other things gaming as well. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.